Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Botany on the Paradise Station, Space Station 13 server. Now, depending on what version of this wonderful game you are playing, you're probably going to have a slightly different experience, but there are some things that are fairly consistent regardless of kind of what you're going to be up to. Botany is a really fun task, aka the Gardeners. It's a great beginner task. One thing you probably noticed is as soon as I walked in the room, by the way, I went around slamming all these lids closed. You can do that by pressing Alt and left clicking. The reason you do this is everything tends to kind of float in here and then just start growing. So you'll have all sorts of random mushrooms and kudu and stuff like that. And it's all pretty unpleasant. The next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab myself a bucket. And now what I will do is I will run down to my good friends over in chemistry, and I will ask for an interesting chemical compound known as unstable mutagen. When we're working with these things, I'm cheating a little bit here. Being admin has its benefits. The reason we're doing this, of course, is one of the things we're going to have to deal with later on is we're going to have to mutate some things for the purposes of getting better stuff out of them. And when we mutate them, of course, it's going to be an interesting process. And again, what I'm going to be showing you today isn't necessarily what's going to work best for you. It's just kind of what works best for me. So now that I've gotten everything all sealed up and ready to go, now I've got myself a bucket. I'm going to go ahead and seal this bucket just to kind of remind me the fact that this bucket here contains a bunch of unstable mutagen, which we're actually going to be using for mutating our plants directly. Now let's go ahead and get some equipment here. We're going to need a couple different things to kind of be successful here. First thing I do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my little outfit here. I have my little kind of captain's outfit. I'll put that to the side here. I'm going to get myself an apron. Not critically required. This little bucket called the portable seed extractor is the best thing ever. It's absolutely fantastic. You'll be using the heck out of it. There's this great thing called the hydroponic HUD, which I really like. What it does is it basically allows you, if you pick that up and then click on your eye slot here, is it shows you the water level and mutation level of everything that you're looking at. It's actually really useful for us. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my hatchet. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my back here. You can see it's just sort of chilling like that. I'm going to grab myself a cultivator. You're going to need one of these to deal with weeds. And then I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go ahead and grab myself a spade. This is going to be important. It allows us to tear plants up. And of course, we have a bunch of other things in here too, beaker boxes, things like that, depending on kind of what you're trying to achieve. One thing I will do is grab the pant data discs box. We're going to need the heck out of this later on when we start genetically engineering things. So if you take a look at this room right now, everything's pretty basic. You can see from these three lines here that everything is full of water. Not everything not everything has itself any of the good fertilizer or anything like that, which we'll deal with in a few moments here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my initial stuff set up here. And the first thing I'm going to grab is this thing called Ambrosia vulgaris. What these are these really fancy seeds that basically are going to give us the ability to improve the quality of all of our plants and not have to water them anymore, which is actually really handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab all the sets of those, which some people would think is absolutely scandalous, but don't worry, I've got a plan. Like I said, let me do my thing here. Let me do a thing. The next thing I'm going to do, of course, is grab myself some tower camp mycelium. This is usually the first one that I do plant. I'm just going to park it there like that. Next, what I'm going to do is go ahead and run up here, grab some easy nutrient. I'm going to go ahead and take the lid off, press Z. I'm going to go ahead and click right there. I'm going to fill this thing up with some of that nice stuff. I'm going to come down here. These are where my two buckets are going to be for my handy dandy others. If you run out, of course, you can run up here and go ahead and drop that off. I wouldn't worry about it too much. And of course, you're looking at those other types of fertilizer going, oh, why don't I use one of those instead? There's reasons, and you'll see why in a little bit. So now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and open up the hatches here. I'm going to go ahead and toss in my ambrosia. And then I'm going to run up to my bucket that has my nasty mutagen in it. I'm going to go ahead and set the bucket to go ahead and drop 30 units. Press submit, click, and click. I'm going to go ahead and cap my bucket here. We might need this bucket again in a minute. Now what I'm going to do is grab my tower caps, go ahead and toss them over here. I can lift up the lid as well to let it start kind of cooking here. So what we've done is a lot of different things. So we started getting this going. The reason we poured the unstable mutagen in here is for the purposes of causing it to mutate into a different type of flower. We need a different type of plant. We need this to be a really nice called Gaia, and that's going to take a little bit to basically get that mutated for us. Well, that's going. We can grab our last couple pieces of equipment. Now that the kind of process is going. Some of you are probably saying, you should be planting wheat and all these other things. Actually, a really popular thing to plant is tobacco at this point because it has some really good things for us. So while this is going over here, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to run over here and grab one of these blank data disks. I'm going to shove it into this computer like this. What we're going to be doing is making ourselves a core disk. And again, while these guys are cooking down here, I'm going to go grab myself something that's a perennial. Tomato is usually one of my favorite choices for this. I'm going to run over to my little plant DNA manipulator, chuck it in there, and I'm going to remove this gene. And now the reason I want to, I'm sorry, not remove, I want to extract this gene. The reason I want to do that is because now I have a disc of perennial growth, so I can make things grow forever and ever. This is going to be very helpful for us later on. The purpose of these caps, by the way, what we're going to be doing with them is we're actually going to be using them as a basis for what they call a core plant disc, which is going to have all sorts of good traits on it that we can copy and paste onto all the different veggies and good things that we have. Usually at this point, of course, the kitchen's clamoring, saying, hey, could you get us some wheat or something like that? It's like, I guess I could get you some wheat. So you come down here, you get yourself a pack of wheat seeds. You run on down here, you got to open something up. I try to keep all my stuff I'm mutating away from everybody else for obvious reasons. Toss that in there, grab some easy nutrient, fill it up. I'm going to go ahead and close this one real quickly. I'm going to grab my unstable mutagen, open this up, and boop, now my unstable mutagen is empty. I'm going to leave the lid on that because it just acts as kind of a reminder to everybody around you that that's what you had in there. So you're probably saying, why are you intentionally trying to mutate wheat, and why are you trying to do these funky trees here? Well, these plants right here, when they actually grow and you mutate them enough, become a plant that automatically waters and fertilizes anything that you put it into. Incredibly useful. The second thing you're going to notice is I dumped a bunch of that unstable mutagen into our wheat here. Basically, what we're going to try to do to the wheat is we're going to try to force it to turn into meat wheat. We can also turn it into oats, depending kind of what happens here. These guys up here, of course, are going to continue mutating a little bit longer, and we'll see what happens. There we go. Now they're ready to be harvested. So I'm going to grab my seed bucket in my hand and then click on my handy dandy plates. Now what I want to do is I want to convert everything in here into seeds. Again, these things are pretty small at this point. Now don't worry, we'll deal with that soon. So what I'm going to do is take my plant analyzer, put it in this hand, and then click on my handy dandy container. You'll notice nothing happens. The reason that doesn't happen is these aren't actually seeds yet. So to do that, you simply Alt-Shift-Left-Click right here. It's going to make some noise, it'll ding, and now you can click on it with your plant analyzer. And what it's going to do is it's going to attempt to analyze it. And then after analyzing it, what it will do is it'll give you a bunch of seeds in this package. Now, if you open this, you'll know I have a bunch of Ambrosia vulgaris and I have a bunch of Ambrosia deus seeds. These are the ones that we want. So this one right here is actually looking pretty good, and that's going to be our winner here. So I'm going to go ahead and extract this real quickly here, and I'm going to go ahead and toss this into it. Now, of course, you have a bunch of all these other seeds here, and you're like, oh, don't you want to take those seeds and do other things with them? Sure. Again, these aren't very good seeds yet. So one of the things we can do is we can actually take this package, empty it into here, and then later on, when we get a core disc, we can actually replace the nasty traits that don't work very well for us. That works pretty good. Let's take a look at how our wheat did. So again, Alt-Shift-Click here. I'm going to grab my little handy-dandy analyzer. I'm going to click on this, and it's going to go into the wheat seeds, and it's going to try to chunk them up. And we can see here we get a bunch of wheat seeds. These are actually really garbage wheat seeds. Actually, none of them really terribly good here. Again, that's going to happen. And you can also see here that our wheat basically died when I was done with it. So let's see if I can get one of these being pretty good. That's potency 30. It's potency 30, yield 4. Decent. So what I can do now is I can toss that pack of wheat seeds in here, grab my perennial disc, chuck it in here, then insert the gene. So now that I have an experimental package of wheat seeds. So now I can run down here and toss them in there to start cooking. Excellent. It looks like our handy dandy, our caps here are done. Now what I like to do with the caps, and again, everybody's a little different as far as this, I'm just going to chuck them in here and basically turn it into biomass. What we're going to do is we're going to grab these and we're going to convert the whole lot of them into seeds. And now you're like, that was silly. Why would you do that? For a simple reason. So what I'm going to do is grab myself a blank disc and chuck it in here. Now with my empty disc, I'm going to grab a pack of these seeds, chuck it in here, and click on Extract All. I'm going to press Extract, click, click, Extract All. Boop, boop, boo. And what I'm doing is I'm building what they call a core disc. A core disc is going to give me the ability to basically have one decent disc that I can use all the time. So you see where this is core 55, 150, 80, 10. This is now ready to rock. So now we have ourselves a really, really good data disc that we can use to improve the quality of any of the different plants that we have. Now that's a big mess of those caps there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab one of them. Let's grab one, replant it, because why not? Let's grab the rest. Whoops, grab the rest. Chuck that in there real quickly here. And again, you can just activate it real quick and get all sorts of yummy biomass with that. And again, the biomass is good if you need to make leftover Z and stuff like that comes later. All right, let's see how we're doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this. This is our second generation. I'm going to go do the same thing I did before. Go ahead and analyze my seeds. Again, I did the same thing pretty quick there. Let's see what we got. And we have a bunch of Ambrosia vulgaris, which is not that great. Like I said, that is not the seed that we want. So I'm just going to right in there. And again, we can put them back in the main machine. We can edit them. There's a lot of fun things we can do. So let me show you a really cool trick here. So my tobacco seeds are done. Fantastic. Now, I'm not a smoker, so I don't really, you can see these are pretty weak tobacco seeds here. However, the tobacco seeds have one really neat characteristic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop them up. Well, I'll toss some of them in the fridge in case anybody wants to eat that later. I don't know why you would. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And what you'll notice is if I click on a bag of seeds, click on the machine, you can now see I can replace all of the genes. But I don't want to replace all of the genes. What I want to do is I want to extract one of these genes. This is yield 10. 10 yield is really, really high. So I'm going to eject my disk. I'm going to go toss it over here, open up this package of disks, chuck it in there. I'm going to go ahead and extract it by coming over here and pressing extract. Oh, cancel. We want a yield 10. And it's going to tell me, do you want to extract yield 10 from the tobacco seeds? The sample will be destroyed. You can only get 4 yield on extraction. The reason it does this is because of the quality of the machinery inside of this little magic box here. As it stands right now, it's not... Oh, that was a really good run there. As it stands right now, it's not a very good machine. It needs to be upgraded, and your folks over in the science department are going to be the ones that are going to be responsible for that for you. All right, we got a bunch of regular wheat seeds here. I'm going to need to dump more unstable mutagen on it. Sigh. I can actually collect all these. I don't need all these tobacco seeds here. I'll go dump it into this machine, and again, I'm just converting it into my little nasty stuff here. So watch this. So I'm going to go ahead and borrow this from science here. This is a blue space parts replacing device. Kind of handy. Isn't it nice that they just left it on the table for me to use? And let me go and upgrade that machine real quick. And I'll go ahead and put this down. So now let's go back into its interface here. And what you'll see is I can now do it. So I said yield 10. Extract. Is that what you want? Yes, I do. And now I have a yield 10 disk. That's awesome. So what we'll do now is we'll go do a little bit more mutation here. And I'll see what we come up with. Now, while we're waiting for things to mutate, I dumped some more unstable mutagen in here. It's a good time to actually modify some of all these seeds that we've been kind of collecting over here. So I'm going to go over to my little component. You can actually split your screen like this. Now I can go ahead and grab my corset, chuck that in there. I'll replace all the genes here, which gives me a little bit better. We'll go ahead and pop that core disc out, pop it in there. We've already got perennial growth. We'll grab yield 10. We'll shove that one in there. We'll go ahead and replace yield 10 here. And now we actually have a really, really nice pack of wheat here. So what I'm going to do is actually go in here, grab my wheat seeds, and then I'm going to go ahead down here, and I'm actually going to replace what we have here. So let's go ahead now. I don't know. I think if this particular one's going to give us any good yield here, but just in case it does, let's go ahead and grab that real fast. I'm going to go ahead and dig that out. It was probably a mistake. Let's go grab those seeds that I had a few moments ago. Remember, these are the ones we edited to be a little bit stronger. All right, so let's see what we have in here. We have a bunch of regular wheat seeds, including some unsorted ones. If we want to sort them, we can just click it like that. And you can see it's ripping through and sorting those seeds. And there's really nothing terribly good here. And keep in mind when you're working on this, you're working with somebody else. Oh, good. I was wondering when the tower caps are going to finish up here. And now, of course, we can edit the tower caps, which I think is super fun here. Let's take exactly one. Actually, let's edit this tower cap real fast. Go ahead and give me a seed there. I'm going to grab the rest. Whoops, I didn't mean to grab the rest like that. I'm just going to toss them in here in the fridge. Now, of course, we can make extreme tower caps. So got 50 potency. This is all really, really good. But now we can go into here and do things like this. Let's put the yield 10. So now we're going to replace this with the yield 10. Let's see here. I'll toss that one back in the box. We'll grab, let's see here, perennial growth. I like that. We'll stick that one in there too. We'll stick that nice. Pop that one out, put it back in the box. And now we basically created the ultimate tower caps. Eventually we'll have tower caps with 100 potency, and that's always very amusing when you do stuff like that. But hey, it's part of the game. Burp. Let's go ahead and toss all that in there. I don't need it. All right, so let's see how our mutation experimentations are going. So we fed a pretty good amount of unstable mutagen here. So I'm going to go ahead and chuck it in here. Keep in mind, stuff when it finally does mutate, it could be several generations of plant before you actually get the one that you want. And keep in mind, plants don't just mutate like they used to. It's the seed that mutates. So let's go ahead and take a look. We've got a bunch of Deos. We have some Vulgaris. Like I said, not doing so well. But again, sometimes it's going to happen. You're not always going to get the plant that you want right away. Aha! Would you look at that? We had our first mutation of the wheat, and it's turned into meat wheat. Ha ha! So the first thing I'm going to do is run up to my machine here. And this meat wheat, of course, it's got some really, really good stuff in it. But if you remember, we spent so much time setting all this stuff up, we might as well take advantage of it. So let's go ahead and replace all that. Let's go in here, toss that in here. We definitely want the yield 10. Make the meat wheat a little bit stronger here. Yield 10 sounds good to me. We'll pop that genetic data out. I'm sure we shouldn't be messing with stuff like this, but too bad. Go ahead and insert that gene. Oh, yes. Now, those are really, 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 really good seeds there. So go ahead and toss that right there and there. I'll grab those seeds. And now we have meat wheat as a new item that we can actually grow here, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to grab the rest of the seeds, the ones that did not produce anything that I needed here. Again, I'm just going to turn them to biomass here, and they're going to start cooking away. So what I'm going to do is see how we do with this next generation here. I have no guarantee that the generation. Notice, by the way, we're getting 10 now for wheat. Kind of cool, huh? And the reason we're getting that, of course, is because we modified our genetic code on this particular plant that would get a different item in it. So I'll go ahead and crank this one out here. I wouldn't be surprised if I end up with another meat wheat seed by accident. Part of the fun, as I like to say. All right, let's see what we got. We have oats. Oh, we have oats. Look at that. So our Ambrosia vulgaris, I made the mistake of using the wrong ones, but we just mutated a bunch of oat seeds. That's fantastic. Let's go up here and I'll feed it into our little computer here. And let's see here. Ugh, that's not that great. So let's go ahead and see if we can clean this up a little bit. So let's get a little bit better yield. Sounds pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and get perennial growth. Oats are pretty good for stuff like this. It looks pretty good to me. These aren't going to taste very good, are they? And we'll go toss it in there. We'll replace all, but then we have to go back and fix the yield 10 because unfortunately I did it in the wrong order. And look at that. Now that is an awesome pack of oat seeds. I'll come down here, toss them in there real quickly. Uh-oh, we've got some trouble. Let's grab my cultivator real quick and do some quick weeding. All right, looks pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and suck them into my little bag of justice here. Looks good. Toss my analyzer. Let's see if we get the stuff we're looking for, the Gaia seed, which is the ultimate here. Alt. There's Deus. Let's see here. I don't think we got what we want this round. Ambrosia vulgaris. Ambrosia. We did not get Ambrosia Gaia. Like I said, there's no guarantee you're ever going to get the actual plant that you want. It's just kind of part of the fun. Now, one of the things worth noting now is, remember how we worked so hard in order to make this really nice wheat? I can come over here now. I can just say, oh, look at that. We got our first crop of meat wheat in. Look at how good this stuff is. Yield 10 meat wheat. That is fantastic. Oh man, that is sweet. All right, grab myself some of the regular wheat. I've got some of my stuff of the regular. Ugh, that's garbage. We should probably rip this out and replace it with something a little bit stronger. There's really no reason to grow the earlier stuff because it doesn't do much, but you can see just how absolutely fantastic that meat wheat's going to be there. It's huge, it's healthy, and it's basically going to feed a lot of people. I'll grab it. Look at this. Look at this healthy wheat. People are going to have such a good time. You can see that fridge is filling up with things. So I'm going to keep mutating these guys a few more times. Now, while I'm waiting for these guys to mutate, I hit them with another round. But the thing, I can barely keep up with how quick all this stuff can grow. It's like as soon as I click, it's generated a whole bunch more, like snap of the fingers kind of a thing like that. Now, that gives you an idea of just how incredibly effective this will be. Now, one of the things special here is you notice that this big power of tower cap logs? Those are actually good for wood. So I'm actually going to grab a hatchet here, and if I start clicking like this, I can actually convert that into a huge pile of wood. Now, of course, there's a lot of fun things you can build with wood, but you can see that I can basically stack up a huge pile of this stuff, and then if there's any engineers or anything who just need some wood, you can just basically leave it for them to come grab, kind of a thing like that. Go ahead and toss over there. Look at that. Fantastic. All right, so it looks like we're ready to go. Let's see if we got lucky this time. You'll notice where production is 10. We basically modified it again. I went up to the little machine there and tweaked it. Let's see if we get lucky and get our fancy seeds here. And again, we're providing plenty of food, and of course the cookie will tell you whether or not you're doing something you want. These are all Deus. It's just one of those days. Hallelujah. There it is. Ambrosia Gaia. That's the one we've been waiting for this entire time. Woohoo! Man, that was a process. Let me go dig this out real fast here. Sweet. And we have a bunch of them too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run up here and dump all these in here just for safety. I don't want to lose any by accident. Grab this one. I'm going to grab some. You can actually type in Gaia, so I can click right there. I'm going to go eject one of these. And this is the most potent seed ever. So what I'm going to do is do a lot of stuff to this because we want it to work well here. We'll start by perennial growth. We're going to toss that in there. Insert gene. I'm going to pop that one out, stick that one in. Grab my core disk. Remember how important that core disk was? I'm going to replace all the genes because a lot of these are absolute garbage here. All right, stick that in here. I'm going to grab my yield 10, shove that in there like that. And we can see I'm going to replace yield 5 with yield 10 like that. And now I have a very, very, very special plant. So I'm going to go toss it in there, and of course, we're going to wait for that to kind of get ready there. I just have to deal with this stupid quantity of everything. Like, there's just so much stuff. And of course, I can run over here. Oh my gosh, as soon as I turn my back, it's ready to load like an extra rod. But that's okay, because this place is going to get real magical in a minute. Now, while this one right here is cooking, man, I cannot keep up with this place. Like, every time I turn around, there's like 1,000 more plants that I have to pack. This is getting ridiculous. I'm going to put it that way. All right, so one of the things I want to show you real quickly is you have a grinder in here. And if I take one of these nice little branches and I shuck this again, this is Embrodeus. If I shuck it in there like this and I actually grind it down, one of the things you'll notice is it actually provides you with omnizine, which is an incredibly valuable chemical that does all sorts of wonderful things there. And that's one of the reasons why everybody recommends kind of keeping one of those sort of around. Oh my gosh, I cannot stay on top of all this. There's just too much stuff. And there it is. Let's grab it. This stuff is magical. And what it does is if you click on it in your hand, if I actually shift click this, you'll see I'm 30% of my way to self-sustenance. If I sit here and keep clicking here like that, what's going to happen is this thing is going to start turning orange. Do you see the orange that suddenly appeared? Now what happens is we never ever have to water this again. So if I just sit here and keep clicking on it, what it will do is basically enrich it with the power of the sun, which will give you this incredible capability. You can see that one's all self-sufficient as well. And once this has been done to your container, you now have something you will never have to put anything else again. So that's kind of the general gist about some of the different things you can do inside of this department. Now, some people, of course, are going to be saying, well, what about all that other stuff you can do inside the department? Don't people grow certain vegetables that you're really not supposed to be smoking? Aren't there certain kinds of, devices that you can use in order to dry things? Yeah, but that's only part of the fun here. One other thing that I like to do, too, is whenever you're working on any of these projects, so one of the cool things you can grab, actually, let's go ahead and open this one up real fast, and I'm going to convert that tile pile into seeds real quickly, and I'm going to do a quick little scan of these suckers. Did I just dump them on the floor like I always do? Nope, I did not. And they're all homogeneous. We'd have to radiate them, basically, to get them to do other things. But if you sit here and keep extracting, keep mutating, keep extracting, keep mutating, look what happens. Look at that. Everything is looking super duper. As a matter of fact, if I come up to my seed manipulator, you'll see that I basically made a copy and tossed everything in here, all the stuff that we had out here, so we don't lose all the work that we've done. A couple mistakes. So, of course, let's say we spend some time and we do some extracting and do some extracting. Just how absurd of vegetables or fruit can you get you? Well, check this out. Now, while I'm waiting for that ridiculously overpowered apple to finish growing after going through and getting everything all ready, what I thought I would do is run over here and talk about this biogenerator real fast. There's a couple other things in here that you might want to be mindful of. One of the things that you have is quite a bit of capacity in here where you can actually build all your different stuff. You can also see I've upgraded this. But one of the cool things you have in here, if you go down to the bottom, you can get sheets of leather. And the leather's kind of fun. I'll show you why. So let me go ahead and make a big stack of this stuff by my feet. I think that should be enough. How much should I grab here? This is 18 leather pieces. Let's see here. Do I have enough to build myself? Yes, I do. I can build myself a leather overcoat. So you can tell the people over in the wonderful Botany area gotten themselves too much stuff to do and not enough work kind of a thing if they start rolling around and these kind of guys. Let me grab this leather duster here. Oh, I got to put it on my regular outfit. Oh, there it is. Look at this. Is that thing fantastic? Unfortunately, I lose my spot for my hatchet in the back, which is it's kind of a shame. So anyway, I'll let this thing grow and I'll harvest this and we'll leave our video there. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, how many of these did I grow? I must have grabbed the wrong thing. 4. All right, so it turns out when I was setting myself up, I was grabbing the wrong seeds, and now you can see I had to reset everything. Okay, to give you an idea of how silly and absurd this game gets, this particular apple seed that I've developed over here on my right is 100% potency. Boop! So, are you interested in an apple? Because I've got a stack of them, and they're huge. And of course, just a demonstration to give you an idea of how silly this game gets. If I click on this and I just eat that apple real fast, you can see my food over here on the right went from about 40% to wham, slammed up almost to maximum, and my character instantly feels vigorous. Just to give you an idea of just how cool this is. So as we've seen, there's a lot of little things that you have to kind of get right. The important thing there is that Ambrosia Gaia is absolutely your best friend as far as using the DNA manipulator. One of the things I had going when I was kind of goofing off, waiting for everything to go, is I built myself some 100 discs, and you can see they all have very, 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 very high potency. Here I've got yield 10s, and again, you can theoretically do a core disc with 100, 100, 100, 100 kind of a thing like that gives you omnizine, but again, you probably won't have enough time on an average server to be able to bust that out. So the last thing, of course, we're going to take a look at here is what happens when you make extremely robust coffee. All right, so I've got enormously powerful coffee beans here. I'm going to go ahead and toss them in here like that. Go ahead and run it up here, and it makes this gigantic coffee bean. This is so absurd. Anyway, I've got a bunch of dried apples and dried coffee beans now. So I'm going to grab all these Robusto coffee beans that I've collected. Oh my gosh, it doesn't even like fit on the screen anymore. It's so large. Oh, I love it so much. All right, so let's go run up top real quickly here and toss my Robusto coffee beans into the blender here. I think I accidentally tossed everything to the blender here. Do not need that. I'll keep the apple, actually. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of apple. Oh my, oh boy. In you go. There we go. So let's go ahead and grind this sucker down. And it's going to give me some well, basically heart medicine here. It's also going to give me some coffee grounds. Let's go ahead and break that thing off. We'll grab a handful of this. Yeah, this is going to be kind of fun. Oh, let's go ahead and walk down this way. Hang on a second. All right, we're looking good. I managed to convert the coffee here. I've got it all set. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. I'm going to take out the coffee grounds. I don't want to be eating any of that. Leaving me with 16 units and 50 units of coffee. Let's go ahead and grab this. Look at this. It's a beaker of coffee, of maximum potency coffee. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to take a couple sips of this. Of course, I probably shouldn't be drinking from a beaker, given all the experimentations and, radium poison and all that other good stuff here. But, this is for science. I swear this is for science. Oh my gosh, my guy is vibrating. I am vibrating. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. I can't walk in a straight line. Oh man, I'm walking so fast. Apparently my character's feeling a little heavy as well here. Oh boy. Oh boy. Don't feel so good. Oh no. Oh boy. I can't have anything in my hand. Drop that real quick. Climb on inside. Bunk. And my pulse rate is extremely high. So hopefully you found this helpful. Like I said, Botany is absolutely fun, or hydroponics, depending on how you want to look at it. One thing I do want to say, though, is definitely work with your cook folks. They kind of let you know what to do and what to cook. They're going to give you a really, really good idea of all the different items that you can do and sort of what they need. The ambrosia is fantastic. Look at my giant apples. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And it's going to go a really, really long way as far as making the cruise experience a little better. Enjoy.